过1个小时的休息之后，我们再一次回到战场之上。先来看一下 OMG 和皇族这一场惊天翻盘。
对的，
在
皇族好像已经不是
翻盘之后，
第一次这样惊天翻盘了。
而且这一次比上次翻盘还要惊天，因为他们是从正面打过去的。
对，
这个跟他们的阵容和那一波春哥很有关系。
上一次如果说是利用自己的机制是暗度陈仓，这一次就是正面直接刚过去。
对，你看一下他们最后的数据。
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being patient. Welcome back to the LPL. We're the English coverage channel here on Twitch TV, brought to you, of course, by Esports 7 and Games in Asia. As you see the results of last match on your screen, Korn getting that well-deserved MVP pickup with some stellar shockwaves. I'm PiraTechnics, joined by Froskurinn on the cask, and Frost, there were casks in that game too, actually, explosive ones.
Yeah, but I am going to give a lot of majority of that game's success to Korn and Cola. I feel like Starhorn Royal Club, for a lot of the split, they've been putting a lot of pressure on Uzi and Insect. Not that those aren't fantastic players. They have good superstar potential on that roster, but Korn hasn't really found his place in the split, hasn't really been doing anything, and he finally just really showed up on, his Fizz play, but like you said, the MVP of that last game on his Orianna play, those shockwaves coming up huge. If I'm going to be frank and honest, I feel like OMG lost the first game in picks and bans, you know, allowing the Twisted Fate into the Fizz, knowing that it was there. That was careless of them. The second game, though, I'm going to take it back to that Baron call on the ward glitch. I'm going to call it a glitch because I feel like that was not working how it was intended. That pink ward was pretty deep in the pit, and the fact that he didn't see the ward, so OMG went through with that Baron thinking that Starhorn Royal Club had no idea. That was a big power swing right there, so that's a little unfortunate.
Still a pretty risky call for him, and OMG, for all intents and purposes, was winning that second game up until it got turned around on him. Really big kudos, though, going out to Starhorn to catapult themselves into a lead, really going forward now that they have secured themselves a pretty big spot in the standings. You see the old ones on your screen right now, but they have overtaken World Elite. Speaking of whom, they're going to be up in the next match. That's, oh, hello, that's not exactly what we're supposed to be showing, but yeah. World Elite has a lot to prove going forward. They won 1 out of 6 games last week, completely off in left field, and now they have to contend with Invictus Gaming, who is, you know, known for being able to knock at least one game out of you every single time. These guys haven't faced off for a month. Last time the result, can you guess? Yeah, it was a 1-1.
I would have never guessed. World Elite. So World Elite came into a high where everyone's like, oh my god, World Elite's going to make Worlds. They look so good. They went to IEM. They beat EDG in a best of 5. It was a fantastic performance. Salme was on point. Wei Xiao was playing so good. Ninja and their Korean transplant, Axine, well, they're both Korean transplants, looked like they were really on point, and suddenly, huge slump. We are going to go through the roster right now. That is going to be Salme, possibly the most popular player in the world. Not just in China. He's for a long time, it's like he's the #1 top laner to walk out for, was utilizing teleport so fabulously, fantastic Gragas play. Again, kind of on the down and out. The meta has shifted, no longer to that 2v1, and it's now that 1v1 really in the top lane. Of course, Axine, their Korean transplant in the jungle there. And I feel like this doesn't necessarily favor World Elite just because they like to have the 2v1 lane swap to allow Wei Xiao to have some free farm time to himself. We'll see how they adapt to it. In the mid lane, it's going to be Ninja, the other Korean. He's called Rabbit.
Keep them close. Ninja or Rabbit. Huh. And Axine also referred to as Sin, too. So everyone's got aliases on aliases.
Aliases and animals, spirit animals, I don't know. The fans send them stuffed animals. It's a little bizarre.
Well, this is the fan. You guys think TSM is popular in North America. World Elite is, like, incredibly popular. These guys, you can hear those cheering. And that's for Wei Xiao, star 80 carry. Yeah, he has had some decent success lately, but still.
His quirky is pretty real.
Oh, yeah. They might even focus a ban on that. Invictus is smart this game. Of course, doubling up as his buddy in the support lane. I know you wanted to make a point about that. We'll get to it in a second. Conan, who is having a little smile there. See how they do going forward. He definitely seems to know something, though he might not.
I would, I won't say that I love Conan. I'm not going to be mean. Conan the Barbarian. He's the true bromance of Wei Xiao. Wei Xiao, known as a very serious player. Conan kind of livens things up in that bot lane. Not the most mechanically gifted of the Chinese players, which, you know, it's hard to do because they're all mechanically proficient, but Conan really excels. World Elite has a formula to how they win. Put Ninja on a utility-based mid to affect Wei Xiao and give him power. Xiaomei has to be on a duelist mobility top champion to play with map pressure, and Conan has to roam, and that's how they win their games.
Speaking of winning games, here's a team that has taken an exact 50% in the entire split. Invictus Gaming. Kitty's going to be the first of that lineup in the support lane. He has gotten Braum every single time in the last 3, as you've seen, but like we said, they win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one. Last time they 2-0'd anything, it was their sister team earlier in the month.
Yeah, the only team that they have 2-0'd is Young Glory, and Kitty's reason he has that Braum is because he will not let him have Thresh. Likewise, joining him in the bot lane is going to be Kid, my favorite AD carry. Kid is a big Trinity Force AD carry user. He's found most of his success this split, however, on champions like Twitch and Tristana and Kog'Maw. So a bit of a different change of pace for him, but really great performances across the board. And speaking of great performances, Zatai, the shot caller, the captain, the head of the team, the dynasty of the mid lane, old guard versus new guard. He plays everything. Those 3 champions, those don't really mean anything. This guy literally hits random when he gets into champion select, and that's how he rolls.
Yeah, he's played some really interesting things all the time. Renekton even came out in the beginning of the split. We've seen all sorts of crazy champs coming at him, Lux included recently. Of course, there's his man in the jungle. It is Illusion, who has a very early centered play style. See if that comes to bear in this particular game. That is one of the keys to defeating World Elite, getting a lot of pressure early. Of course, in the top lane, to round out the roster is Youngsu, the Korean transfer from a team you may not be familiar with, Mook Comet, but he has excellent Mandarin skills. Communication has not really been an issue for this team so far, and he loves himself some Half-Dragon, was playing Gragas earlier in the split as well.
He was also the first player to bring out the Maokai. So we'll see if that maybe gets banned against him this time, or if he makes it through. You did say he brought up the top Gragas initially, but very first game, Maokai got his changes. This is 4.11. So Illusion, big Skarner player. Skarner did get hit. Straight nerf to his numbers as well of his movement speed percentage. Maokai is big. We've seen it banned so far. See if it'll make it through.
We see Yasuo already taken off the table. World Elite will, of course, be on the blue side this game. Invictus thinking long and hard about what they ban against this team.
I feel like Gragas needs to be taken away from Xiaomei. And Wei Xiao, it's too hard to ban him out. He has so many priority dangerous picks. Talked about the Corki, the Kog'Maw, the Tristana. So I think it's more useful to ban out Ninja. Lulu should be taken away. There's no reason that should be given over.
Makes sense, looking at the Lee Sin ban as well away from Axine. And the Braum ban, so Kitties won't get to sit on that this time. However, he has played a mean number of other support champions, Leona included. Gragas not going to be an option either for Youngsu.
Maokai's still up.
Yeah, that is...
Last ban's going to IG.
Shh, don't tell them.
They have to ban Lulu. They
Yeah.
cannot let this champion through.
And you know, Xiaomei could play top lane Maokai. We haven't seen it, but now that 411 has been rolled out to the LPL, we might see a resurgence of this. It has had a pretty consistent pick ban rate, and IG really thinking about this. If they give up the Lulu, that would be pretty big. Nope, Twisted Fate. Whoa, okay, out in left field. That's against Ninja.
Ninja, yeah, he
Big
played Twisted Fate initially. It pretty much got dumpstered. He returned with it, I think, 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, to a lot more success. And woo, Xiaomei,
Yep,
right out the gate.
We're going to get to see the Twisted Trait. Of course, that means Lulu is available, and they snatch it away immediately. Next pick is going to be in the jungle. Illusion, he's played Rengar a pretty fair amount, and they're thinking about locking that one, and they do.
Likewise, that leaves a hyper carry open to Wei Xiao. Looks like his flavor of the month is going to be... nope, never mind, Tristana.
Yeah, last second switcheroo. I think this could mean Kid goes for that. However, there are a couple of tricks up his sleeve. Yeah, this is the quintessential hyper carry matchup we've been seeing anyways. Everyone picks one or the other. It used to be Twitch Lucian, now it is Tristana Kog'Maw. So, how does this fit in with what IG wants to do, though? They definitely want to have some late game potential, but do you think they go the Orianna route mid and leave Youngsu top Lulu?
I would hate to see a Lucian here.
Nah, they're messing around. Could be a Corki, though.
Okay, Corki.
It could be a Corki, but they're going to move over to Kog'Maw anyways. Oh! Well, they want to put Zatai on Lulu. That's a lock-in for Shyvana.
Which makes sense. Zatai played Lulu in his last set against LGD. That was yesterday, of course. They're playing 2 sets this weekend. Rise being instantly locked in. Is that a rise mid then for Ninja to face off against Lulu?
And they lock in Elise. This makes it interesting. All the options on the table for World Elite. They could send the rise mid to deal with Lulu, like you mentioned. But we have seen some strange things. Not out of this team. It's very possible that we get to see a top Elise in the jungle Maokai. I doubt it, but they have the option.
I wanted to kind of retouch on World Elite win conditions and how the meta has slightly shifted this time around. Again, we talk about how 2v1 lane swap isn't as prominent. We've been seeing more 2v2s as the new patches are rolling out. And I think this doesn't necessarily favor World Elite. Talk again about how Conan isn't the most mechanically gifted player in China. Wei Xiao likes to be left alone in that solo lane to farm and to get his experience. He is the shot caller for his team, and it's very curious how World Elite plays their team fight. Effectively what they do is they slow down the pace of the game. So China has this thing where they like to speed everything up. They crash into each other. There's always a lot of kills, a lot of action, a lot of deaths. World Elite, it's almost like complete opposite. They don't like to fight. And it's because Wei Xiao wants to get over into that solo lane. He wants to prepare himself and make sure that he's okay before he makes the call to get involved with his team, which, you know, makes sense. We'll see if they're able to slow it down against someone like IG. These teams are effectively complete inverses of each other, although World Elite does depend very heavily on making it out of lane phase well, as does IG. But it's just kind of that different way they go about lane phase.
Well, you look at the junglers, that spells a pretty big difference to Illusion, known for making big plays early, or at least trying to affect lanes early. And if Conan does go on his signature roam spree, Wei Xiao has to be extremely careful. He does have a lot of self-peel, and that might have been why they opted for the Tristana pick this time. But the key to beating World Elite always seems to be shut down Wei Xiao and Cao Mei in lane. And that's what IG's going to be looking for going forward into this. Interesting pickup on the support, too. Kitties ends up going for Leona, which is kind of a self-counter against the Thresh, but he's very confident on that.
Giving a lot of control to Kitties to say, you know, we're fighting here and now. It's Lulu mid, yeah? I'm trying to remember the composition as we look at the players.
Definitely
Shyvana,
this time.
what? It's Shyvana, Rengar, Lulu, Cog, and Leona? Okay.
And I mean, that's kind of like a later game all-in comp. We're going to get a little bit of centering on the fans.
Mid laners, that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
We had this conversation. So from last split to this split, the meta of mid lane obviously has shifted naturally just because of the change of the patches, and, you know, assassins are starting to come back into favor more so now on 4.12, 4.13, like things like that. Obviously, running utility-based mages this time around. Zitai and Yu, EDG's mid laner and obviously IG's mid laner, are the only two mids that played last split that are currently in this split. We talked about a lot how there's an influx of different junglers. You know, a lot of Koreans coming over.
Ninja.
Yeah, Ninja, things like that. Drug being moved back into the jungle, that you see a lot more Lee Sin, Rengar being picked up just because the players and the jungle have changed. Obviously, the two new teams coming in from LSPL, auto-relegation of Energy Pacemaker, things like that, positive energy out.
All the Lee Sin plays, big time.
Yeah. Mid effectively never really got talked about, but there's been a huge shuffle of mid. Completely different players, Cool coming back out of retirement. The fact that other than just those two, Yu and Zitai, every single mid laner is brand new to LPL, and it's completely changed the dynamic and the meta and the pressure. I mean, China isn't necessarily really well known for its mid lanes. When you ask a fan, you know, what's big in China, everyone will say, you know, AD carry. Even people who don't really understand anything about LPL, oh, the AD carry, UZI, Name, that's what they're known for. But the mids are actually really powerful now. We just saw Korn's performance when he finally showed up. Again, going back to Cool, Zitai, I talked about at length the dynasty that Zitai had really left to him and the fact that he never really lived up to it, but you see small little glimmers of it occasionally.
Yeah, Zitai has definitely been taking a pretty active role in the way that his team has taken shape. You saw him last night actually physically utilizing the keyboard to do the picks and bans himself. He just said, Youngsu, don't worry, I got this, bro. And looks like after
he was throwing elbows.
Yeah, we're going to get into this game. We'll have to see what Invictus' plan is going forward, because you cannot let a team like World Elite simply stomp through the laning phase. They will get ahead every time and beat you down. Seems to be that their weakness has been figured out, though. 1-5 on their last week's performance, and the pressure is on. They've been leapfrogged by Starhorn, but here we go onto the Rift for set number 2. This is the LPL Week 8, day number 3, World Elite versus Invictus Gaming out the gates, line of scrimmage.
And the curtain is closing on World Elite to make a run at playoffs and possibly at World Qualifiers. Now, IG, EDG finished top 2 in the spring split playoffs. World Elite, OMG, teams like that, Starhorn Royal Club, if they want to get an invitation, they have to finish. It's kind of weird how it can shake up. Technically, you'd have to finish kind of in the top 4. So World Elite does have a chance if they get knocked out, so because if EDG takes it, it's this convoluted thing. But World Elite has a smaller and smaller window if they want to try to make Worlds. They can't afford to lose here.
The perception, especially if you're coming in watching the LPL for the first time, you might have most recently had experience watching like IEM Shenzhen, which World Elite actually won. And they looked really great in a lot of those games. And it's really strange coming in from that perspective and looking at it saying, oh, well, this team's really great. They're basically the season 2 or 3 TSM, right? Not exactly. They've been falling down really, really hard lately. And yes, they started out in a really good position. Yes, they managed to win IEM, but they have just been falling down repeatedly. And Invictus is a team that can exploit those weaknesses as good as anybody else. It's just, do they actually perform? It's really hard to call these games. I think we're going to be in for quite a lot of action. And look at this late invade going in, very late invade.
Spotted by a ward, though.
Yeah, that's just going to be 2 people in here. If they can get the smite steal off, Illusion says, hello, thank you very much. I don't need your buff. I'm just going to get you instead. Yangsu going for the early flash. Sin is on the run. He's going to be able to get away, though, and nobody goes down, but they certainly scare World Elite to start this one off and take the 4v0, or are they? Looks like it for a second.
It's going to be a double jungle meta, so 2v1 lane swap is actually going to be initiated by IG this time around. I want to talk about how many flashes were just burned right there. Completely worth for World Elite. Effectively, Axine A got his buff, got out with his life, burned his own flash, but he got 3 flashes in response.
Yeah, a little overcommitted by Invictus. I think they were excited just to find somebody, and they jumped all over it, but yeah, way too much spent there. And now, free farm lane for Wei Xiao and Conan. Don't really know what to do with themselves. Thresh is doing spins in that lane.
I mean, it's clear why they would do that. The only issue, though, is, Leona doesn't fare very well in a 2v1 lane swap. She has much more presence and much more power, when she's fighting against someone. And the fact of the matter is that this is exactly what Wei Xiao likes. He likes to be left alone in a lane to farm. So I find it very curious and almost irresponsible that Invictus Gaming is giving exactly what World Elite want.
Yeah, they tried a little bit too hard to put the pressure on. Now they are going to meet up in the jungle. Whoa, hello! Face checking into the bush, never how you want to start a game. And this is the 2v3 that they're going to lose. Illusion getting left for dead by Yangsu, and down he goes. That is not the greatest way to start out a game. World Elite looking happy, moving straight for Dragon.
And of course, he did not have his flash because he burned it, trying to make something happen on that Elise when he chased out Axine off his blue. And great response from World Elite and great rotation.
It's like they're just like a really not potty-trained puppy. Let's go, guys. Let's go, go, go. Let's get excited. Oh, we died. Okay.
I see what you did there. That was some clever imagery without using the exact word that I would have said. Involved bed.
You know what? Let's not entirely go there. Woo, careful with the juggling of the aggro. Conan nearly going down to the Drake. They're really pushing the envelope on this one. 4-minute Dragon goes down. Not the earliest Dragon we've seen, but it certainly falls under that category. And I think IG has to rethink this early game strategy.
Pressure is on right now. I've talked about how when you do a 2v1 lane swap in the top, it's kind of fast push versus slow push. When the threat of the jungle and the knowledge that they're taking Dragon goes through, you have to immediately transfer, okay, we need to take down the top tower to trade the global objective. They got some decent damage onto that top tower, but as you can see, World Elite playing this perfectly, pulling Conan. Is he going up? Yes, he is. Pulling Conan off of the bot lane and sending him up to that top to stall out that global objective. So there's nothing that IG can immediately trade for in response. So this is very well played. Very well coordinated from WE.
Yeah, doing exactly what they want to right now, with Wei Xiao getting the solo farm completely uncontested. And even if it goes dead even with Kid, that is the way they want to get to the late game. Just on the back of Tristana. Sao Mei getting a little bit of help from Conan too, so this is a really nice situation because Salme is on a pseudo-range champion. I want to say it that way because he's got so many gap closers, and instead of attacking, he can just toss saplings all day, right?
Also the threat of Conan with that red buff. Talk about Illusion's Rengar. He has picked it up. He's tried to find success on it. I really don't feel that Rengar really suits his style, though. Rengar can have early aggression and early burst power, but his ganking power is actually quite weak pre-level 6. And you think about Illusion's role really in the team of Invictus Gaming. He thrives on that Skarner. Oh, hold on a second, though.
Yeah, Maxine might go a little too far forward. Conan and Salme covering it, and it looks like this is going to be a fight. Zatai finding Axine out, but he doesn't want to follow up, as there was quite a lot of danger there, and they move around. Going back to your point, yes, it doesn't seem like Rengar completely fits what Illusion wants to do as far as his role on the team. I would have loved to see him back on Pantheon, but for whatever reason, they've been shying away for that lately.
Oh, of course, Pantheon saw his share of number changes and nerfs.
It's true. Still,
we've seen a little bit, you know, sometimes Pantheon.
It's always like a
Ninja.
pocket pick, it seems like. But, you know...
You mean the Fiddle's pocket pick?
Oh, let's not go there. That didn't quite work out.
I think they won that game. Yes, they
well,
did.
it wasn't necessarily due to that.
It wasn't necessarily due to the 1-8 Fiddlesticks jungle, no, but...
Yeah. Well, okay. He definitely got a lot of one-for-one trades for his carries, so I guess in that sense it worked, but... Man, that was... Talk about getting nightmares. That was like insta-gib every single time he went in. Guys, focus the fiddle. Oh, where'd he go?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Now this top lane, though, Salme, level 4, is able to 1v2 effectively here. He's not going to be too afraid if they try to go for a dive, which Leona does have good dive potential. The reason why Maokai Gragas top are so good is because it's very scary to dive them. Obviously, he has his, what is it, Twisted Advance.
Yeah, way too much sustain. He's got a little bit of CC in his pocket. And he can also kite out. So yeah, he's very similar to Gragas in that role. Not to mention he has a little bit more natural tankiness too. With the buffs, it especially helps him out. And there's really no way they could dive in on this. Invictus has effectively been stalled out of this early game. World Elite could not be happier that this is happening.
And this is literally the exact MO and blueprint that World Elite use to win games. IG has to find an early snowball and find these crazy team fights. And that's how they get out of control in the early game. World Elite, again, very much, let's control the early game. Let's make sure that Wei Xiao gets his free farm, uncontested, nothing happens to him, and let's just wait for him to outscale. They always put him on a hyper carry. Nothing went wrong for World Elite. And again, it's just irresponsible of IG to give them exactly what they want. I understand that, you know, they have the Kog'Maw, and they have the power of Lulu, so this mid-game, early-game power that Zitai has, he's going to then transfer late-game to Kid. But, I mean, do you really want to play that gamble against the Maokai top, the Rise front line? Like, look at that front line.
Young Su! He is having to spend his flash just to get away from there. Kitty's in hot pursuit. Yeah, that was not quite so good. He got 6. He can spend it if he needs to, but still, that was a very hasty maneuver. Didn't quite work out the way that they wanted to. Invictus, yeah, they keep trying these aggressive tactics, but they're falling further and further behind. A 2K gold lead for only being 1 death down is pretty massive. And they don't have any map control on the bot side now with Kid in the top, so they're not going to be able to contest Dragon unless they do something crazy.
And the difference between Youngsu and Salme right now, 43 to 25, Youngsu not having a good go at all. Dragon going to spawn in 1 minute. IG do not have the timer. They did go and grab the Dragon death, so they will see it when it respawns, but World Elite should be pretty good about setting up for it and just rushing it down.
Yep, win lane, win game, and that's what they're working to do right now, controlling their side of the map. A little bit of a roam going into the jungle right now. They're feeling confident. Conan is double timing with Axine. Buffs are abounding. Although, Kitty's and Illusion are there. It's not going to be completely free to steal this jungle away. If they can get a jump onto somebody, though, that's going to be the signal for a very easy Dragon. They might just try to rush it down, like you mentioned, without really worrying about what the enemy laners are doing. They've got sight on just about everybody.
I feel like Youngsu knows what's happening right now. A lot of pings going down, so like, do you know where Axine is? Right now, Illusion has his ultimate available. We talked about how Rengar doesn't really have the best of ganks pre-level 6. So that green dot has been available. It's now about he needs to utilize it. Actually, it takes a really untimely back as Dragon spawns.
Yeah, that is just not knowing the timer. They have no idea that this is about to happen, although World Elite playing it out very, very carefully, and you do have Kitties suspecting something hanging out in the mid lane with his buddies at tie, but as soon as they realize they have a green light, World Elite should be able to go on this one.
And the bigger issue is that, you know, Salme has that teleport in the top lane, although he is in base. We'll see if he walks mid and just... No, he's going to go top. I was going to say he could just walk to the dragon fight and force a numbers advantage.
Uncontested, well, but yeah, you can't leave a dragon.
He can't get down there. This is a complete numbers disadvantage, and there's nothing IG can do about it.
They're just slowly getting edged out of this early game. This is really disastrous for them since they have such a focused early game spike that they're just never going to be able to hit. They give up a dragon again. And Illusion has been entirely ineffective this game. He's gotten nothing for his efforts, and he has the impetus to stick around in the jungle now because he needs to farm his feral flare stacks. But they're just not getting anything.
If he had a flare, he's only got the ingredients.
He'll get there eventually. Well, hopefully he'll get there. Now they're looking to try and set a pickup. Tower did go down in the top, so Kid was able to poke it out, and Salme getting pushed in very slowly. But likewise, the bot went down, so it gets answered immediately, and no real advantage conferred to Invictus. Conan and Wei Xiao doing double time here. Yangsu going to get hooked up. Uh-oh, got to be careful. Putting that burnout onto Conan. Don't be fooled by the red buff. That's a visual glitch. He's not had that for a couple of minutes.
It's the 12-minute red buff thrash.
That is,
legendary.
yeah, I forgot 4.11 has the crazy buffs that last forever, right?
Exactly. That was a straight, didn't you read the patch notes? That's a straight buff to thrash. Permanent red buff.
Permanent red buff on Thresh all the time. It's like Doom bots all over again. Oh!
I think it'll go away.
Hello! Speaking of Doom, that's Yangsu going down and actually getting picked up by Wei Xiao. And camera was just a couple seconds behind on that one, but we'll get to see the replay in just a second. They really have to come up with an answer to this aggression because they're just falling slowly into a hole. And Illusion, yeah, not doing anything on this Rengar.
Again, 13 minutes in, closing in on this Rengar. Has not yet found his R button. Time will tell on next episode of Does IG Split 1-1? Here we go, here's the replay.
That's always true. Well, the hook comes in once again. Wei Xiao getting the damage on. Conan gets the flay backwards. Big jump, buster shot. Goodbye, good night.
Very nice maneuver. He actually hit the buster shot, I don't know if you saw, but Yangsu died in dragon form. Although I think his either the animation timed out because the cooldown's actually available, but he doesn't have his fury, so that's awkward.
There's the R button. Conan's going to flay him away, though. That's a pretty big Rengar going in for round 2. Zatai getting locked up around the side by Ninja realizes he can't deal. That's going to be Illusion, forced to spend another flash as the cavalry arrives from World Elite, and they get swatted away. Yangsu, this time not taking any chances, goes back up the top, but they just don't have any response to World Elite's push.
Aggression, but without proper knowledge was effectively what happened there. He thought he caught the support out. The only reason why Conan was there is because he had his buddies behind him, so leaping into Fog of Ward, there was one ward placed a little bit deep, but just did not have the correct knowledge to go as deep as he did, and he got burned by it.
Huge, huge misstep, yeah. And they need to be able to get a collapse on if they want to pick kills, but they don't have people where they need to be. They just keep trying to lane this, and this is World Elite's game. This is what they want to do. Yangsu can't even go 1-to-1 with Salme right now, and that is a problem. Not only is he down a significant amount of farm, but he's not even got his first completed item, whereas Salme has the Roa. This is a bit troubling for Invictus, that they can't even properly 1v1 right now.
Well, their composition is also pretty flimsy. The fact that they took Rengar, there's no submarine aspect of this. I mean, technically he could stealth in and, you know, wild growth everyone up, but that wild growth should be saved for Kog'Maw in this instance. I just feel like Illusion's pick, it's effectively a 4v5 with that champion. Whereas you look across the side, again, World Elite has a very nice... who is that, the team comp? Curse. It was almost like a pseudo-Curse composition as far as like their front line and the tankiness that they have there, and how traditionally it's going to be impossible to A, get through a Maokai alone, but then to also get through a Rise, at least jump into the back line. Like, to get to that Tristana is going to be very difficult. You got the box to compete with, the rocket jump, the buster shot, the lantern, Maokai, and Rise.
Yeah, they have so much sustain on this, and what's brilliant about the way that they picked their comp is they picked it and they played in such a way early game that they didn't actually need to rely on any pressure externally from the jungle. They've allowed Xine to really just do what he wanted to and get up a lot of farm And he's kept up with Illusion, who's pretty much just sat in the jungle, even though he's been able to gank. Now, 3-man push is going to force Yangsu away from this tower, although he's going to get a little bit of help. Illusion and Kitty's coming around the side. That's going to tip off World Elite, who will smartly back off, but they are still in the driver's seat this game. 1-to-1 towers, 2-0 on the kills, and the gold is very slowly creeping up as World Elite walks by their favorite buff, Lord Baron. They're not going to go for him just yet, though.
Good use of spacing by Youngsu there. You saw the Maelstrom go out, which meant that Xiaomei was looking for the dive, trying to get his W off. Just out of range because Youngsu procced the burnout to get the movement speed bonus and effectively walk in a straight line. Straight line's OP, but World Elite, not done yet. Just going to say, okay, it's fine. We don't want to get the top lane. We're just going to transition over into the mid lane. What, you're out of position? No problem.
Yep, they really can only win here. And, oh, Kitties!
Oh,
he gets on a hook right there, all the way into the Vengeful Maelstrom. And you see Illusion diving in there. Xiaomei, he could go down in this, and he does. It's Kid getting himself the first kill of the game for Invictus Gaming. Axine could fall down. Kid with the flash forward, repel up to save the Elise's life for just a moment, falling down on the Wraith camp. Keeping alive, Wei Xiao's now in the picture, though, and Illusion's going to scatter. Scramble the Jets. We got 1 kill. We traded 1 for 1. Have to get out now, but they think they'll be okay with anything that gets them a little bit more gold in the bank.
Traded 1 for 1 and technically a 4v5. Good foresight of IG to recognize that they were making the rotation ahead of Wei Xiao. Very nice flank from Youngsu. Almost got Conan, so they almost had the advantage there. Dragon up in 8 seconds. See if IG can do that again. Again, playing from a gold deficit. World Elite finally went back bot, so they are going to be stronger this time around. In fact, IG needs to get back and get healthy again.
Yeah, Dragon's going to be on the
Very
table
untimely
in just a minute.
back again.
Here it goes.
This is gonna be
yeah, they just don't seem to have the timers available on this. And now that World Elite is back, they're just scaring them away. Now, Kid could maybe try for poking them out and scaring them off of it. It looks like just the mere threat of him being there is doing that right now. But how long is that going to last? World Elite are eventually going to bite on this, and here they go. So Voidu's really going to just slow Conan down and the rest of the team getting there. This is going to be uncontested, but they could try and take a fight after the fact that they want to. He's going to get a little bit of poke on. Living Artillery comes out, not too much effect. Kitty's in the thick of it again, and he's going to fall down immediately. Solar Flares onto himself. Not effective at all. And Yangsu gets poked out by Wei Xiao. This is getting really hairy for Invictus. Chasing through the jungle. Illusion's got nowhere to go. Trying to keep alive. Xiaomei pretty low on the backside. Kid desperately fighting to stay alive. However, Wei Xiao getting himself another kill around the back. 3 for none and a dragon. Thank you very much, says World Elite as they walk it out.
3 blinking lights on World Elite's side. Just complete lack of focus and lack of synergy from IG right there. You got Youngsu in the back line. Kitty's completely whiffs an ultimate, goes down initially in front of the fight. The only 2 that seem to be on any sort of same wavelength for IG was Zitai and Kid, you know, grouping up, creating that force to be reckoned with, and, you know, trying to do the best they could. But if 3 members get out with all low health, that's just an issue of not prioritizing the correct targets.
Yeah, they kind of half-heartedly went in a little bit after the fact, and this calls to the weird comp that we were talking about. Illusion picking Rengar. Yes, he's got the initiation, but they don't have the follow-up damage. They didn't need it. They have a Shyvana. Let's look at this one again. Dragon goes down. Kitty's is already committed to this one. The hook somehow misses him. Then the Maelstrom comes out, Xiaomei. Kitty's is just like, okay, I assume they'll jump on me.
Illusion in the back.
And they don't. Yeah, Illusion goes in way too late. Wild Growth on a Kid. Keeps him alive.
12 seconds into this team fight, and Illusion has yet to do any damage. He's thrown 2 Ebolas. Wow, can you tell that we're in Atlanta?
There is an outbreak, I hear, and it's dangerous.
Watch
Stay safe.
out.
And
no, he threw 2 bolas, and that's it.
Yeah, literally no damage, and he's not even been able to finish the Wriggles at this point. He's had to get himself a little bit tankier, working towards possibly a Banshees just to stay relevant. But this is nightmare scenario for Invictus. They have let World Elite do exactly what they wanted to do. Massive gold lead at not even 20 minutes. We could start seeing like some crazy Baron rushes out of World Elite. They got pretty smart and shied away from that, which has been their undoing in the past. But Invictus just seems so impotent that there's really no risk in trying to do something like that in the next 4 or 5 minutes.
What's really brilliant and really worrying is the fact that World Elite are already kind of pounding through these team fights, being really successful, really scary, really strong. 2 of their members have ROAs. Like you said, those ROAs completed very early. That's only going to compound. 10 minutes time, that row is going to mean so much more than it does right now, so that this strength is only going to get worse. And yeah, IG scales decently well, but the amount of damage threats and how those damage threats
And
scale...
they're doing more. That's Yang
God.
Su going down. Before we can even finish our sentences, Wei Xiao grabs himself a 4th kill. Second tier top tower gonna go down. Frost, this is just getting out of hand at this point. They've done absolutely nothing to shut down Wei Xiao. This is where he loves to be. Huge, huge, huge. And it's barely 20 minutes in.
I mean, effectively, this is World Elite's game to lose. I don't foresee them losing this at all.
Pick
I
some
mean,
bands
even
were
if
not
IG...
kind to IG.
Well, yeah, and even if IG really gets a swing on a Baron pick or something like that,
Well, look
they
at that,
just
Kitties.
they don't have the composition to deal with this.
His health bar just went like blink in a second. That's 1 crit from Wei Xiao.
To
I
be
mean, this
fair,
looks like a
though,
later
I will
game.
say this. World Elite has a big issue of breaking the inhibitor line and of closing games when they have ridiculous gold leads. So right now, 10k gold lead at 22 minutes. That's pretty much as ridiculous as you can get. They are so strong right now. But again, they just have this mental block for whatever reason. They're like, oh, you know, we're 10k gold ahead, what that translates to in game 100 gold. And they just get really afraid. So let's see if they're able to transfer this power and this knowledge into aggression and to make plays happen earlier. I would hate to see World Elite kind of revert back. They are playing, again, very much to their old style and that old win condition formula, but I want to see something new from them. I want to see them be able to kind of push the envelope to recognize how powerful they are.
Yeah, if they can crack the space open while they have the huge scaling in their favor, shouldn't be too much of a problem. But because they're so far ahead, you look at the champions that are typically more late-game powerful. You're talking about Ryze and Wei Xiao's Tristana. Because they're so... Yeah, and Maokai. Because they're so far ahead, collectively, the global gold has been pretty big for them as well. They have effectively bypassed the mid-game where they're not really that strong, and now they're in really, really good shape. Kid is probably the only one who can even comparably say he's close to that, but he doesn't even have his Bork finished, versus Tristana's completed Eye Edge and Static Shiv, and also working towards a Last Whisper, or even a Blade of the Rune King on top of that. Or, you know, at this point it's so crazy with the gold that he could just go straight to a Bloodthirst and not have to worry about it. IG looking to set up a Death Brush here, but it's kind of a desperate maneuver.
Spotted out by a ward.
Yeah, immediately.
That was a
Illusion goes
beautiful
stealth.
ward.
Wei Xiao, he gets pounced on, but they don't have any damage here. Illusion gets caught in the box. Conan takes a couple of hits, but all of a sudden, turning around the aggression World Elite, getting big. Illusion going down immediately. That is Axine coming up on that one, and they're looking to turn on the gas onto this turret. The last outer turret remaining. See if they can keep going forward. Flash is spent. Zatai's getting locked up. Wei Xiao jumping in. Goodbye. Lulu falling down, and so is Kitties. That's going to be yet another kill. Oh, Youngsu answering back onto Conan. Meanwhile, they go back for the chase. Youngsu, will he go down? He does. That's another pickup for Wei Xiao. He gets himself a double in that, or a triple kill. It's only Kid remaining. Can he even stave this off? I don't know, Frost. They're still afraid to push it, but they have got all the pressure on their side.
So World Elite, been very controlled, very concisive, took all the remaining towers. Again, it's about breaking that inhibitor line, now falling back to the Dragon, do the very safe objectives. Do they now try to force the Baron, which I think very smart move, force IG to fight them. They obviously can do this relatively quickly. They are the much stronger 5v5. Can they transition that Baron into a proper dive to break this inhibitor?
Well, it's starting to look like they really don't have an easy way to lose this, to be honest. World Elite just goes in, collapses massively on that. I don't even know how Axine got the kill. There was just so much AoE locking them up, and with the 4v5, yeah, IG should have just gotten out of there. The flash forward catches the tie, and then Kitties goes in to commit. And that was just a 1-2-3 good night from Wei Xiao, who picks himself up a triple kill on the back of that. I mean, that's pretty big. Youngsu answered back. They got Conan. They ended up getting Axine, but still, huge ups in favor of World Elite.
Kid was doing a good job dishing out the damage. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have the front line that Wei Xiao does.
Yeah, that's part of the problem right now, and that Youngsu hasn't really come up too big in Peel. He's just been able to answer back with like some retribution kills. Although, to be fair, Kid did stay around the back and didn't go down in that one. But
Kid has always played. His split has been phenomenal. His performance, even when his team doesn't win, Kid has played very solid. His stats on his champions are fantastic. Again, 1-0-2 in a 11-3 game. I mean, it doesn't look like that impressive of a score, but when you look next to his entire team, it looks decent. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have the composition around him. I feel like IG really win when they put more of their power on Kid and put Zatai on a real champion. And unfortunately, that just didn't happen. Again, Illusion, pretty much non-existent. Finally finished his first item. It is going to be a Spirit Visage. Will it save him from this face check?
No.
We will find out.
Yeah, well, seeing the Cocoon's going to save him, but Illusion's already popped his ult, so... Yeah, it's a little bit... Oh, kiddies, that was not the right way to go. Getting locked up, getting stunned up. He goes down. That was an extendo hook from Conan, but it hardly matters. One more kill in the bucket, and this is going to be the start of Dragon. No way is this contestable for Invictus Gaming, freely going over to World Elite, and they're just doing everything they want. This is just classic World Elite. Oh, wait a minute.
Conan is on guard duty.
This won't be 100% free, or it... Okay. Parting shots. Yep. Looks like we have a pause on the screen, actually, so we get to see that moment just kind of shaped up in a picture, really. There we go. Back to it.
I feel like IG should have rushed mid and tried to contest that mid tower, at least gotten some damage onto it. Had to be careful of the flank right there, but that Baron contest was just not available to them. Vaccine levels ahead of Illusion, not just one, but two. And now they're trying to take down the bottom tower, but sacrificing 3 resources as World Elite marches up that mid lane.
They are just looking for anything they can get at this point. Illusion is helping out Kid, but they're taking tower shots. It's just so lackluster. It's like they've already given up and are just thinking about game number 2. The picks and bans, what were they thinking with the Lulu pickup and with Illusion on Rengar? It just was a failed experiment, I feel like. Zatai getting hooked up again. Conan, oh my goodness, he doesn't stand much of a chance. That inhibitor neither does. Oh, Conan, he'll go down, but still, they are looking far and away so much better. Answering back, Wei Xiao gets the buster shot out, and there they go onto Illusion, Vengeful Maelstrom. Nobody wants to get anywhere near that tree. Youngsu says, no thank you. Falling down, and that's going to be only Zatai and Kid standing. The final push commences from World Elite, and there is no way that they can stand up for this. There is the approach. Kid falling down. Axtine coming up with the kill on that one. Kathleen surprised, not going to do much else. Wei Xiao going all the way forward onto Zatai. Can he get the ace? He could have to fountain dive for it. He decides he's just going to take the safe route instead, and they're going to end it right here, right now, or at least give it a try. A couple more seconds till a few of the Invictus Gaming members come up, but they're pushing down the turrets way too quickly for this one. It's going to be a 28-minute game, Frosk, and World Elite have to be happy with that result, considering they were just bumped out of 3rd place.
We talked about how, you know, it's in World Elite's hands. They had a terrible showing the last time around. Only won 1 out of their 6 games. They had a 3-game or a 3-set weekend and just had terrible results across the board. It was nut up or shut up, do or die time to secure their spot into that playoffs. They needed to win here because IG and LGD are really closing that gap. Starhorn Royal Club, like you said, already leapfrogged over them into that 2nd-tier place. See if World Elite can maybe punch back. That said, IG, historically, the team that splits 1-1.
Yeah, let's see if they can come back and do it. They're going to have to play a little bit differently than that last game. That's for sure. I expect vastly different picks, and dare we say the Maokai ban?
It needs to be taken away. Obviously, it's already shown up in China that it is a feared pick, as well as the rest of the world.
Well, see how it goes when we come back, guys. We will be taking a quick break. Put up the standings for you in just a second. And, well, see if Invictus Gaming can come out of whatever it was that they just were in, because that game was not to the level we expected, at least from Invictus. World Elite coming up big, making a statement for their 3rd place spot, which has been taken away from them by Starhorn. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
我觉得就从第一波的 IG 的蓝入侵开始伤，就是 IG 有点伤，然后接着被抓再伤，然后再掉龙，然后掉龙之后 WE 的龙的。
the Twisted Fate into the Fizz, knowing that it was there. That was careless of them. The second game, though, I'm going to take it back to that Baron call on the ward glitch. I'm going to call it a glitch because I feel like that was not working how it was intended. That pink ward was pretty deep in the pit, and the fact that it didn't see the ward, so OMG went through with that Baron thinking that Starhorn Royal Club had no idea. That was a big power swing right there, so that's a little unfortunate.
Still a pretty risky call for him, and OMG, for all intents and purposes, was winning that second game up until it got turned around on him. Really big kudos, though, going out to Starhorn to catapult themselves into a lead, really going forward now that they have secured themselves a pretty big spot in the standings. You see the old ones on your screen right now, but they have overtaken World Elite. Speaking of whom, they're going to be up in the next match. That's, oh, hello, that's not exactly what we're supposed to be showing, but yeah. World Elite has a lot to prove going forward. They won 1 out of 6 games last week, completely off in left field, and now they have to contend with Invictus Gaming, who is, you know, known for being able to knock at least 1 game out of you every single time. These guys haven't faced off for a month. Last time the results, can you guess? Yeah, it was a 1-1.
I would have never guessed. World Elite. So World Elite came into a high where everyone's like, oh my god, World Elite's going to make Worlds. They look so good. They went to IEM. They beat EDG in a best-of-5. It was a fantastic performance. Salme was on point. Wei Xiao was playing so good. Ninja and their Korean transplant, Axine, well, they're both Korean transplants, looked like they were really on point.
1个小时的休息之后，我们再一次回到战场之上。先来看一下 OMG 和皇族这一场惊天翻盘。
对的，
在翻盘之后，
第一次这样惊天翻盘了。
而且这一次比上次翻盘还要惊天，因为他们是从正面打过去的。
对，
这个跟他们的阵容和那一波春哥很有关系。
上一次如果说是利用自己的机制是暗度陈仓，这一次就正面直接刚过去。
对，你看一下他们最后的数据。
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being patient. Welcome back to the LPL. We're the English coverage channel here on Twitch TV, brought to you, of course, by Esports 7 and Games in Asia. As you see the results of last match on your screen, Korn getting that well-deserved MVP pickup with some stellar shockwaves. I'm PiraTechnics, joined by Froskurinn on the cask, and Frost, there were casks in that game too, actually, explosive ones.
Yeah, but I am going to give a lot of majority of that game's success to Korn and Cola. I feel like Starhorn World Club, for a lot of the split, they've been putting a lot of pressure on Uzi and Insect. Not that those aren't fantastic players. They have good superstar potential on that roster, but Korn hasn't really found his place in the split, hasn't really been doing anything, and he finally just really showed up on, his Fizz play, but like you said, the MVP of that last game on his Orianna play, those shockwaves coming up huge. If I'm going to be frank and honest, I feel like OMG lost the first game in picks and bans, you know, allowing point, and suddenly, huge slump. We are going to go through the roster right now. That is going to be Salme, possibly the most popular player in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Not just in China. He's for a long time, it was like he's the #1 top laner to walk out for, was utilizing teleport so fabulously, fantastic Gragas play. Again, kind of on the down and out. The meta has shifted. No longer to that 2v1, and it's now that 1v1 really in the top lane. Of course, Axine, their Korean transplant in the jungle there. And I feel like this doesn't necessarily favor World Elite just because they like to have the 2v1 lane swap to allow Wei Xiao to have some free farm time to himself. We'll see how they adapt to it. In the mid lane, it's going to be Ninja, the other Korean. He's called Rabbit.
They keep them close. Ninja or Rabbit. Huh. And Axine also referred to as Sin, too. So everyone's got aliases on aliases.
Aliases and animals, spirit animals, I don't know. The fans send them stuffed animals. It's a little bizarre.
Well, this is the fan. You guys think TSM is popular in North America. World Elite is, like, incredibly popular. These guys, you can hear those cheering. And that's for Wei Xiao, star 80 carry. Yeah, he has had some decent success lately, but still.
His quirky is pretty real.
Oh, yeah. They might even focus a ban on that. Invictus is smart this game. Of course, doubling up as his buddy in the support lane. I know you wanted to make a point about that. We'll get to it in a second. Conan, who is having a little smile there. See how they do going forward. He definitely seems to know something that we might not.
I would, I won't say that I love Conan. I'm not going to be mean.
All sorts of crazy champs coming at him, Lux included recently. Of course, there's his man in the jungle. It is Illusion, who has a very early centered play style. See if that comes to bear in this particular game. That is one of the keys to defeating World Elite, getting a lot of pressure early. Of course, in the top lane to round out the roster is Young-Soo, the Korean transfer from a team you may not be familiar with, Mook Comet, but he has excellent Mandarin skills. Communication has not really been an issue for this team so far, and he loves himself some Half-Dragon, was playing Gragas earlier in the split as well.
He was also the first player to bring out the Maokai. So we'll see if that maybe gets banned against him this time, or if he makes it through. You did say he brought up the top Gragas initially, but very first game, Maokai got his changes. This is 4.11. So Illusion, big Skarner player. Skarner did get hit, straight nerf to his numbers as well of his movement speed percentage. Maokai is big. We've seen it banned so far. See if it'll make it through.
We see Yasuo already taken off the table. World Elite will, of course, be on the blue side this game. Invictus thinking long and hard about what they ban against this team.
I feel like Gragas needs to be taken away from Xiaomei. And Wei Xiao, it's too hard to ban him out. He has so many priority dangerous picks. Talked about the Corki, the Kog'Maw, the Tristana. So I think it's more useful to ban out Ninja. Lulu should be taken away. There's no reason that should be given over.
Makes sense. Looking at the Lee Sin ban as well away from Axine. And the Braum ban, so Kitties won't get to sit on that this time. However, he has played a mean...
Conan the Barbarian. He's the true bromance of Wei Xiao. Wei Xiao, known as a very serious player. Conan kind of livens things up in that bot lane. Not the most mechanically gifted of the Chinese players, which, you know, it's hard to do because they're all mechanically proficient, but Conan really excels. World Elite has a formula to how they win. Put Ninja on a utility-based mid to affect Wei Xiao and give him power. Xiaomei has to be on a duelist mobility top champion to play with map pressure, and Conan has to roam, and that's how they win their games.
Speaking of winning games, here's a team that has taken an exact 50% in the entire split. Invictus Gaming. Kitties going to be the first of that lineup in the support lane. He has gotten Braum every single time in the last 3, as you've seen, but like we said, they win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one. Last time they 2-0'd anything, it was their sister team earlier in the month.
Yeah, the only team that they have 2-0'd is Young Glory, and Kitty's reason he has that Braum is because you will not let him have Thresh. Likewise, joining him in the bot lane is going to be Kid, my favorite AD carry. Kid is a big Trinity Force AD carry user. He's found most of his success this split, however, on champions like Twitch and Tristana and Kog'Maw. So a bit of a different change of pace for him, but really great performances across the board. And speaking of great performances, Zatai, the shot caller, the captain, the head of the team, the dynasty of the mid lane. Old guard versus new guard. He plays everything. Those 3 champions, those don't really mean anything. This guy literally hits random when he gets into champion select, and that's how he rolls.
Yeah, he's played some really interesting things all the time. Renekton even came out in the beginning of the split. We've seen